an update halfway through collection 4. Update. Hi. I just wanted to show you a couple of things that I'm seeing in the initial annotations for collection 4, as I'm sure you're seeing as well as you get ready for your follow-up annotations for later on tonight. I'm speaking to you just after midnight on Thursday night, and your follow-up annotations are due Friday night, tonight at midnight. So here are a few things to be looking for. You can see that there's a lot of action on Judith Sargent Murray, as expected. It was interesting to watch how the annotations on Salon sort of developed here. You had several people commenting right here where my cursor is on this seeming insult that Murray lodges against women about how good they are at slander and gossip and things like that. All part of a larger formula that she's setting up about comparing men and women in these 4 areas up here: imagination, reason, memory, and judgment. And so it's sort of interesting how she starts out saying actually that women are better at imagination by the force of their ability to be better gossips and slanderers. But then by the end of it, and this is, as you look at these, if you click on these, you can see what 6 or so of you said about how that case is being made. Then by the time you get to this moment, which I think was cited by many of you as perhaps the most important point that's made, down here about being deficient in reason, we can only reason from what we know, and if an opportunity requiring knowledge has been denied us, the inferiority of our sex cannot fairly be deduced from thence. So this becomes the classic nature-nurture argument. The point being that women just simply, in the late 18th century, have not been given the same opportunities as men, and thus any deficiency they have in reason is really more the result of education, educational opportunities being denied them, rather than any kind of innate difference in intellectual capacities. So it's really very clever the way Murray works through this formula, and I think it was kind of interesting to see how you all dealt with that as you read the text. And that's what I like about Salon. I can kind of watch, especially in the view mode, which I still kind of prefer in this sense. I can sort of watch what happens when this line comes up, and I can see there's 6 of you saying, this is really interesting that she's saying that women are kind of trivial and trifling and gossipy. But then by the time we get to about 3 or 4 paragraphs later, we actually get the point of where she's coming from. We can only go by what we actually know. If women are denied the opportunity for further knowledge, they cannot be held accountable for not knowing, as Rebecca says here. Or as Diana says, it's not fair to blame a woman for not knowing something or not having the ability to reason if she's not been given the chance to learn about something. So it's fun to watch you all annotating these texts sort of as they're happening. The other highlight, I think, that as always with the way that I've larded these collections with so many texts, is that by the time you do get down to the end of the collection for collection 4, we do get to that very important Elizabeth Cady Stanton text. And I'm hoping that'll get a little bit more attention from you in your follow-up annotations, because there's a lot here to work with, including really the resolutions themselves, where you can really take a look at these 12 or so resolutions and ask yourself, where are we now? How many of these have been resolved in the last 165 years since 1848, and how many are still open to be resolved when it comes to gender equity? So that's something for you to look at. I was also really impressed by the way in which the Salon annotations are beginning to affect the quality of the reading responses. So as I look at collection 4 here, we start here with, actually I think we end, this is reverse chronological. So Jasmine's post here at the tail end of the deadline last night, or Wednesday night, says, ladies, what's your opinion about men? So she's being kind of the provocateur here, so you might want to pick up Jasmine's question during your GR4s. Before that, you have a really good example, I think, of Erica weaving in quotations from the text, and I think this is where Salon is really helping, because in previous semesters I've had students do summaries of their thoughts about the subject, and sometimes they're not as inclined to actually give textual evidence. But I think the fact that I'm having you do these reading responses right after these annotations, it's causing many of you now to get into the habit of actually citing what you mean, so that when Erica says she recognizes some of the problems that would happen to mostly women, she gives the evidence for that comment, or the evidence from Beecher, and so on. So I'm really impressed with that quality that a lot of these reading responses are taking. Becky gives some really good historical context, I think, for this collection. Allison really speaks to audience, and the notion of whether or not On the Equality of the Sexes is directed more toward men or women or both. Nathan, I think, really hits up the Murray scorecard that I was talking about earlier, the whole idea of imagination and reason and memory and judgment, and shows how really Murray sets up that comparison along those four criteria. Diana introduces the Beecher text, which is still, I think, the most complex text of the collection, and so her take on it is well worth reading as well. If you want to take a look at Beecher, who was probably the most neglected of the writers the first time around, so there's still quite a bit that you all could do with her, and she's just such a fascinating figure, because I think she does truly value what women have to offer, but she's still a little bit hidebound in her thinking about the domestic sphere being really the primary place where women can offer something to humanity. That plus maybe the realm of education. So she hasn't really, she's not really able to look at gender in the way that we look at it now, certainly in the 21st century. Over in Group 2, there were similarly interesting things going on. If you go over there and take a look at that. And again, I'll kind of remind you how you can do a quick job as you get your group responses together, of just clicking all these boxes and then clicking collect, and that gives you the whole lineup of comments. I'll just in the interest of time go through a few quick highlights. Mary, I think, did a good job with Murray here, talking primarily again about that moment that we've already looked at, about, can we be accused of being deficient in reason, given that we don't have as much education in the first place. Brandon's, I think, was one of the best for that idea that I was talking about earlier, that I pointed to from Erica's in Group 1, which was, of course, just this use of extensive quotation. I think Brandon here is basically taking some of his annotations that were already in the initial annotation set and turning them into a little bit more sentences and paragraphs. And I want you all to continue to work on that skill, because it's going to play a major role, I think, in the quality of your essay drafts later on. I think Rebecca does a really good job further on down here of kind of reaching that gradual conclusion of how Murray sets up her essay, and eventually kind of leads people to the conclusions that she was hoping for among her readers. And Ashley does a great job with the connections between women's rights and slavery, along with Monica. You're both kind of making that connection that I wanted you all to make between units 4, 5, and 6. So the first 2 units after the midterm will be getting into slavery, and that's the point I was making, I think, about the shift that we made this week toward the post-revolutionary material that was beginning to point up the discrepancy between the ideal of the Declaration of Independence, all men are created equal, and the real situation of not really having an equitable society yet in terms of gender or race, certainly. So that is a theme that we will be returning to after the midterm. So a couple quick things to mention about Salon then in closing, and then of course I have a lot that I'm talking about with you in my textual announcement that's being posted simultaneously with this video, but I did want to point you to the fact that they are once again tinkering with Salon, as they like to do up there at Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh. They have a new thing that I'd like for you all to contribute to. I was just up there a week and a half ago, meeting with the developers up in Pittsburgh, and they had me up there with a few other professors from around the country who were just trying out this tool because it is truly very new. And one thing they wanted us to do is to have you all respond to this little 2-question survey, and I'll point you to it here. It's under feedback and on the new user interface that they're using. If you click here, you can send your thoughts to them, and they would really, really appreciate hearing from you about things you like about Salon in its current manifestation and things you wish you could see in Salon. And then just click done, and they will be able to crunch that feedback. And someday I'll tell you about what a wonderful group of developers are up there. It really is something special to see people working this hard and in this responsive a fashion to trying to come up with an innovative new educational tool. And to be in on the ground floor of it is really quite exciting. And I hope you're enjoying that quality as well. So they really want to hear from you. So look at feedback. I also have some instructions for you, somewhat detailed as usual, about how I would like for you to post your drafts in a couple of weeks as that due date approaches. And if you need some help with that, don't go to videos so much because I don't think they've quite figured out how to put all their videos here. I would still go to help over here and just click on help. I've got some instructions, but if you're more of a visual learner than textual learner, you can always go down to the bottom here in the help section, and the third one is a video called Adding Documents and Videos to Salon, and it's a little out of date. There's a few things about the user interface that have changed from when they made this video, but it's very descriptive. So if you click on that, it comes up as a YouTube video, and so I'll invite you to look at that as well, and take a look at my video as often as you like, and check out my the rest of my details in the written announcement about the various developments over the next few days and weeks, and I'll be in touch soon. Thanks.